In 2013, a former Isle of Wight local swam across the Solent with 3 of his friends to raise funds for research into motor neurone disease. The event has become a yearly challenge that this year had 41 swimmers taking part. I went along to Stokes Bay to find out more from some of those waiting for the swimmers to come in. Over the last 3 years, a cross-channel swim started by Tony Bray has raised over £70,000 for the Motor Neurone Disease Association, MNDA. The crossing from Ryde to Gosport began as a challenge for Tony to improve his own health.
When I set my challenge, I was about 21 stone, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to swim the Solent unless I picked a charity to do it for, and probably the best decision I've ever made, because I've met some amazing, influential and inspiring people living with motor neurone disease. Cross
Solent Swim is now named the Ian Pratt MND Challenge in honour of one of the many inspirational people Tony met following his first year fundraising. Not all symptoms of motor neurone disease are the same for each person, which makes it difficult to diagnose.
Initially I had cramps in my arms, hands and fingers, and I thought it might be the result of the statins I was taking for heart disease, so I went to the doctor. We had some trials which eventually went out across about 1 year to 18 months. Everything was excluded, it wasn't the statins, and they finally diagnosed motor neurone disease.
Liam was complaining of a sore knee, and it was when he went to the doctor, to the local GP, they picked up that he had very brisk reflexes in his legs, and they referred him to a neurologist, and from there he had quite a lot of scans and tests. Takes a while to diagnose motor neurone disease because there isn't a specific test to diagnose it. So that was when Liam found out that he had motor neurone disease.
We didn't know what MND was before I had this.
Liam didn't know, or none of the family knew what motor neurone disease was, so it was quite a shock, wasn't it, to us to realise it was a terminal illness, really.
For those people who don't know what motor neurone disease is, it's a neurological disorder which basically destroys the motor neurons in your brains and your spinal column, which will eventually stop all your muscles moving. Currently there's no cure for motor neurone disease, there's no effective treatment, and the prognosis is from diagnosis to death, you're talking 2 to 5 years, but most people, or 50% of people, don't last 14 months. So it's a cruel, horrible thing.
Liam was diagnosed in September 2005, so he's been living with it since then, which is lucky for us, but it's not the normal for people diagnosed with motor neurone disease.
We want to spread awareness so that local authorities can put into place all the services that people living with motor neurone disease need and deserve. Effectively, it's a very complex disease which, especially when it progresses rapidly, can affect families very, very hard, and they need all the help they can get.
David Setters was diagnosed with motor neurone disease in 2012, and functionally he can't use his arms, hands and fingers. His career was in financial publishing in London, and although not working now, he's able to still use a laptop with the aid of voice-controlled software.
I also use a foot mouse rather than a hand mouse, and my feet and toes work quite well, and using the two together, it's quite normal usage of a laptop, which is quite satisfying for me. Yeah.
Liam does a lot on social media, he does a lot of campaigning. He's campaigned over the years for better wheelchair services, better communication aid services, AAC services, which he gets involved with.
Luckily I'm on a slow-moving version of it, and so I can sort of get my life in order, but essentially the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life is telling my wife and family about my diagnosis.
This is Shan Robins for That's Solent.